People insist on giving notice. I'd forfeit $1,200 in PTO if I did. So my new job has finally confirmed my start date, but I pointed out during Thanksgiving conversation that I haven't told my current employer that I'm on my way out yet because it was still unofficial at the time. People, especially older family members, are all up in arms that I haven't given my 2 weeks. I've been told I'll be doing the right thing so they can prepare. It's a formality and you don't want to burn bridges. I try to counter with the fact that when my old manager resigned earlier this year, they showed him the door on the very same day. There was no drawn-out goodbye period. He was gone ASAP, which I can understand because our team deals with sensitive data that they want to keep secured. But I've still been told by family members that I'm being dishonest in not informing them. Then I add the little cherry on top. They do not pay out PTO upon leaving, and won't comp you for the 2 weeks you intended to give from your PTO. I would give up $1,200 in PTO that I'm attempting to bleed off in the meantime. So would you give up $1,200 to do the right thing even though they won't? Crickets after I proposed that question. Not one of them were willing to admit out loud that they would do it. But considering their previous conversation about grocery prices and politics, they would absolutely take $1,200 to not do the right thing. Or they will say they wouldn't, and then privately do it. What a bunch of hypocrites. And what a system where you can earn PTO but not have the obligation to receive it in many states if you leave your job. I've known older people with the same mentality, but I don't see why we owe these companies loyalty and notice when we don't get the same in return. I've been through layoffs a few times where people are just walked out immediately with no severance or any time to process or prepare. Why should we lose out on PTO we've earned to be loyal to a company that doesn't care for us? Because of at will, employers will absolutely not extend you a notice of any kind. Why should you be expected to treat your employer with the equal amount of respect they would treat you? If they terminate without notice, leave without one, you are under no obligation to do the right thing when you are playing in a capitalist system. Take the money and run. This whole idea of employers not being obligated to pay out PTO to people who have earned it is absolutely insane to me. PTO is a tangible part of your total comp package. Stealing it is wage theft. I think the general, never give notice, advice is stupid. But I also think that you have to know your workplace. If they kick people out like you have seen, you are absolutely in the right. My favorite 2-week notice story is a guy who worked in the control room at work and had his 2-week notice ready to hand in when they called him in, laid him off, and gave him a severance package, 2 weeks' pay, and escorted him out the door. Never been a happier person to get laid off. And this is why such companies have employees walk after taking their PTO. Glad I work for a company that will pay out unused PTO. Yeah, don't ever provide notice. I provided notice once. I got retaliation immediately and had all sorts of issues giving 3 weeks advanced notice. The only policy that works is this. 1. Submit your leave request, and say it's important to be off right now. 2. Don't clean out your desk until the last day. 3. Only after you packed up your desk. Submit your resignation effective immediately. The most common story is, I submitted my 2-week resignation and was terminated immediately. Followed by, I felt like I owed something to a manager, coworker for XYZ years of service. Your work is not your friend. They will replace you. And not having enough skilled employees is a management issue, not a you issue. I've always given 2 weeks notice. But I've never worked for a company that walked you out the door day of. If that was the policy of my workplace, official or unofficial, I'd give zero notice too. I think that a lot of older people don't realize how much things have changed both with labor laws and with the way companies do things. What used to be standard is no longer that. When you mentioned that your company does not pay out PTO when you leave, so you'd be leaving a lot of money on the table, and potentially be shown the door upon giving notice anyway. That was probably completely new for them. I'm not sure I'd call them hypocrites for not immediately changing their opinion based on the new information. But it does look like you gave them something to think about. Let them notice you left and notice you never came back. In most things, the aggressor sets the rules. In this case, the employer, by previous action, has defined the last day or work as the day you give notice. They have also informed current staff that already earned PTO will not be paid in this instance. Given these rules as defined by the company. 1. Use all your PTO before you give notice. Point 2. Do not let anyone at the company know you intend to leave. Point 3. Give official notice moments before you intend to separate from the company. Op. Check state laws. My previous job told me the same thing about not paying out PTO. When I found out they had to by Louisiana law, they cussed me out and asked if I was a lawyer. 2 weeks later, they paid me out my 86 hours of PTO. Location matters. Some states require PTO be paid out. They may be breaking the law. The burn bridges mentality is really only for specialized fields. I don't talk to anyone from my last 3 jobs. Never ask them for anything. Over 8-year span. Simple solution. Use the 2 weeks of PTO. Come in after and give your notice. Be shown the door. Win-win. Only companies that give at least 2 weeks pay when they lay someone off deserve 2 weeks notice. Loyal employee. Hey, I'm leaving 2 weeks later. Letting you know so you can make arrangements. Company. Fuck you. You're out here now. Loyal employee. Company. Fuck your PTO balance. 2. Use up the PTO then give notice if you're worried about it. I posted on another thread that the op shouldn't even bother telling their employer anything cause they are only scheduled 6 hours a month and people were calling for my head. You read that right. 6 hours a month. That's how much they were scheduled. Give them 2 weeks notice after you take 2 weeks off and watch them escort you out that day.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.